All right, that's going to be a tough one to just sort of digest. The 27,000 Americans who enrolled in the federal market healthcare marketplace for this new law. 106,000 in all signed up. Both numbers very, very weak. Hadley Heath has been weighing all of this and wondering where we go to from here. Hadley, what do you think?
You know, these numbers are a disappointment. I'm surprised the administration didn't wait until Friday to dump this kind of report, but we find out we're far below projections, and I'm sure administration officials are worried about the 7 million they hope to enroll by the end of March.
But, you know, there is a benefit sometimes with coming out with just god-awful news, right? That it can't help but get better. That's one way of thinking. And so when Kathleen Sebelius is on this teleconference call saying, you know what, we think that these numbers are going to pick up, maybe dramatically so, well, she has nowhere to go but up. So what do you think of that?
Well, especially after the Oversight Committee hearing this morning, with some members of Congress being very critical of the website, being very critical of the technical glitches that it's faced. I'm sure many Americans are still hoping to gain coverage through the exchanges, but some, as you mentioned earlier in the show, may be reviewing the policies, finding out the details of those plans and the premium prices, and deciding maybe they don't want to go through the checkout process, that they'd rather not buy through the exchanges if the prices or premiums are too high.
You know, I was thinking of this, though, when we were showing a shot of WebMD, and the administration is, going through channels like this and the NBA and the NFL to reach young people to sort of show the virtues of this law. But at this early stage, it does not seem to be wooing them or certainly wowing them. And that is not encouraging, because they're going to be the crucial factors in whether this succeeds or fails, right?
That's certainly a concern, Neil. It's not just the number of people in the exchanges, but the shape of that pool. Are they healthy? Are they young? Are they the kind of people who require subsidies, or the kind of people who are going to pay their full premium out of pocket? All those are important questions on top of simply those enrollment figures that you mentioned. And when it comes to WebMD, you're right. This is part of a large-scale effort from the White House. The government has spent $684 million in PR contracts and other federal grants to do what they might call outreach. But in the end, it's PR, trying to convince people that this law is a good thing.
But it might fail of its own accord in its own sorry weight, and then that really starts raising an issue. Then what? I mean, it is the law of the land, and I know Republicans hope to seize on a bigger run-up in the House and maybe take the Senate, but they'll still be dealing, even in the best-case scenario, with a Republican president for the next 2 years. So what happens in the next 3 years?
Well, Americans are just now beginning to find out what their personal experience with the law will be, whether it's through changes in their premiums or in the many cancellations. About 5 million people so far receiving letters canceling their private plans. So those kinds of disappointments feed the poll numbers like we saw yesterday from Quinnipiac. 2-to-1, Americans say that this law will have a bad impact on their personal health care. So those are the kind of numbers that are going to drive ultimately the political change that we might see in Washington. But for now, Americans are just beginning to get a taste of this law's consequences.
All right, Hadley Heath, thank you very, very much, and for rolling with all this breaking news. Again, for those who just joined us here, the numbers are very, very anemic, and not many are signing up here. And that has a lot of folks wondering whether this has the look, smell, and feel of a housing crisis. I'll explain that tonight at 8 p.m. on FPM. What we're looking at is this idea of one size fits all, forcing something on people, and whether that boomerangs on you. We found that out with housing. Are we about to find that out with health care? Tonight at 8, FPM.